little piss baby. You think you're so fucking cool, huh? You think you're so fucking tough?
What's up, guys? Calico here, and today I wanted to talk about something that's always interested me on a deep, personal, probably autistic level. That being weird/obscure guns. Now, for some reason, for as long as I can remember, I've always gravitated towards the abnormals when it came to firearms. I think part of this has to do with the fact that because some of these guns are so obscure, if I had it or if I was into it, it made me feel special, like I was in, this own little niche that only existed inside of my head. It felt like it had more of a community aspect, right? Because if dude, are they cricket? It felt like I had more of a community aspect. It's like, oh, you like this gun that no one's ever heard of? Well, here's someone who's heard of it who also likes it, if that makes sense. So, about a week ago, I asked some of my Instagram followers, go follow me over there if you want to possibly participate in a future video. Oh no! Stop! And some of my real life friends, because yes, I have some of those, surprisingly, to send in some examples of weird ass guns for me to look at today. But before we get to that, I want to talk about one of my personal favorites. Now, I know what you're probably saying, but Calico, the F2000 isn't that obscure. Well, sure, people know it exists, but in a world now dominated by M-Lock ARs, totally not guilty of that one. And generally a shift away in most Western militaries in NATO from anything that isn't an M4 style rifle. Now sure, some countries still use it, but overall I'd still put it in the realm of forgotten weapons.
He said it! He said it!
Shut the fuck up. I think another part of this too has to do with the fact that, to me, it feels like it was almost overshadowed by other weird bullpups of the time. Like, when you think of bullpup, you think of something like the AUG. If I were to show some of my friends a picture of an AUG, even if they know nothing about firearms, they'd still probably look at me and be able to say, oh yeah, that's an AUG. But if I showed them a picture of an F2000, I don't think they'd know what it is.
What the hell is that?
I don't know if I'm maybe over-exaggerating the elusiveness of the F2000.
You definitely are.
Or if I'm even making sense in the point I'm trying to get at.
You're not.
But it's one of those guns where if you know it, you know it. It's, oh yeah, that's the tuna fish gun. And if you don't know it, you're like, what the fuck is this? But for me personally, my love and introduction to this gun started all the way back in the Modern Warfare 2 days. The good Modern Warfare 2, not the shitty fucking remakes that we have nowadays. This was a gun that was available in multiplayer, and from what I remember, it wasn't that great, but that didn't stop me from using it. It looked goofy as shit, especially when compared to its real life counterpart. I mean, they butchered this thing. I don't know how you could butcher it even more, but they somehow did. But just to help you maybe see my earlier point a little bit better, even in that game, it was a forgotten weapon. Like I said, it wasn't that good, and some people would go as far as to say it was bad or the worst assault rifle entirely. And the simple fact that it was so far down within the level list that why would you pick that over anything above it, considering some of the best guns in the game were above it. I mean, there's literally another bullpup further up the list, the TAR-21, and that gun slapped. That gun was 100 times better than the F2000 ever could be. Also to mention, as far as I can recall, the F2000 never showed up in another Call of Duty game again until Vanguard, a fucking World War II game. But the F2000 will always have a special place in my heart, and for the channel, considering my most viewed video ever is me unboxing a replica of it.
Alright, so while that's charging, we're actually going to take the gun out of the package, and this is always the best part.
Sure, it's bulky, it's a bullpup, which automatically means if you're not into bullpups, you're not even going to think twice about this gun. And especially nowadays too, where there's still a pretty big discussion within modern firearms culture of if bullpups are even practical or have a place anymore. It didn't sell well at all in the civilian market when it first came out. It was discontinued a while back. You can't get them anymore. And frankly, there were just better military options. But at the end of the day, it's still one of my favorites. And part of me still wishes I hadn't given that airsoft replica version away. But it literally didn't work, so Alright, next weapon. Another something 2000. I know. Well, I'm guessing you most definitely do not know this gun. Another something 2000, I know, but I'm willing to bet that you've actually never heard of this gun. The NEOSTEAD 2000, or NS 2000, which is how I'll be referring to it as from now on, is a peculiar looking 12 gauge shotgun developed in the land of what the fuck, why did they create this, how much LSD did they take? AKA South Africa. Now, of course, I could have picked any number of funky designs that have come out of that place, such as the Vector CR21 or the PAW 20, but I feel like those guns, as niche as they are, they're still known about because they're so niche and weird. Plus, they've even had depictions in popular media, such as District 21, District 19, is that the name of the movie? District 12? District 9? Oh, District 9. That's it, right? District 9. District 9. District 9. What the fuck am I doing? I mean, some of them have even had popular media depictions such as District 9 or Chappie. But the NS2000 just looks like something out of fucking Halo. Production for the NS2K began in 2001 under Truvello Armory, a South African weapons manufacturer. The two designers for this weapon essentially thought that while shotguns are sick as fuck, we can still make them better. More specifically, making the overall package smaller while having a larger capacity than typical shotguns of the time. The way they did this was by, one, making it a bullpup. Now, this idea had actually been tried and done before with the high standard Model 10, Model 10B, or just the HS-10, which you probably faintly recognize from being in Call of Duty Black Ops 1. If you recall, it was terrible in that game. Turns out it was terrible in real life too. It had a number of reliability issues, terrible ergonomics, I mean just look at this fucking thing, and just a general sense of shittery.
It gets worse every time we touch it. Didn't it hurt you a minute ago?
Yeah, so, I'm actually still bleeding.
And the best part about this too is apparently this thing was made explicitly for law enforcement.
I bet that's killed more cops than like actual criminals have. Dude, I would rather eat a dead dog's asshole than go into a high stress situation with that thing.
Now back to the NS2K, you might be saying, alright, well it's a weird looking bullpup shotgun. I mean, we have plenty of those today. What's so wrong? Maybe if you let me fucking finish, you'd know that there are quite a few more quirks. One of the more noticeable ones being... You see that shit? No, your eyes do not deceive you. This shotgun operates by pushing the pump forward and then backward. So, to see it being pumped like something out of a fucking Bethesda game, it's just a little cursed. Now, I mentioned earlier how this gun is a bullpup, which, like, technically it is, but it doesn't load at all like similar bullpup shotguns developed later on, like the KSG or UTS-15. No, my friend. This thing breaks open. Not only does it break open, but it breaks open to reveal not one, but two magazine tubes to insert the shells into. So essentially what you have is a double barrel shotgun, but instead of just inserting two into the chamber, imagine you just keep cramming shells down that entire barrel. Just cramming them in like a fucking hyper reload animation. So just to recap the absurdity here, the NS2000 is a bullpup, pump action operating, break action reloading shotgun. Which is just like insane. Overall, I had trouble even finding B-roll of this gun to use that wasn't like gameplay footage uploaded 15 years ago. Fucking cursed. Next one, please. Now, originally for this pick, I wanted to go with something like a handgun to try and complete the trifecta of, you know, every major weapon type. We've had a rifle, we've had a shotgun, and then... But then I remembered this gun exists. If the NEOSTEAD 2000 looked like concept art for a Halo weapon, this thing would be in the fucking game files. I can already imagine myself dual wielding these as I'm fighting off the fucking flood. More realistically, running away from them. The Calico M950 is truly something.
That is not okay. This is not okay. This is What is that?
The first designs for this weapon were drawn up in 1990 by Calico Light Weapons Systems for both law enforcement and military use, as well as for a civilian market. The first thing you might notice about this gun is the look of it. More specifically, where's the magazine? You see that big lump of shit on top? That's your magazine, buddy. Get shooting. The Calico utilizes a helical magazine design, which basically means that instead of the bullets being oriented in a vertical row and fed vertically, the bullets in a helical magazine are oriented in a horizontal row and fed either horizontally or vertically. Now, an example of this you might be familiar with is the PP-19 Bison. Now, one of the advantages I can see you getting from something like a helical magazine is a very large capacity of ammunition, especially in something like a machine gun, taking pistol caliber ammunition, in a relatively smaller package. I mean, I'm pretty sure the PP-19 Bison holds 60 to 80 rounds in its helical magazine, despite the overall size of the gun. And that also goes for the Calico. The Calico came in two different magazine configurations, one for 50 rounds of 9mm and one for 100. And after saying something like that, it might seem good, but in practice, now you just have a heavy lump of weight sitting either on the bottom or top of your gun. Now, even though I compared the magazine to the Bison, that's kind of where the comparison ends. Another oddity with it, however, is that your rear sight of your firearm is located on top of the magazine. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Your rear sight is sitting on top of the thing that will constantly be moving due to the nature of it. Oh, I don't know. Feeding the fucking gun? Are we that... Jesus, what the fuck? And every time you need to reload said gun, well, bam, there goes half of your sight picture. Now, obviously, if you're reloading, you're not going to be firing the gun, but that's just like an argument idiots make. Especially because, like I said, the magazine is so, heavy and bulky that I can't imagine that wouldn't fuck with, your accuracy in any way. Now, quick note, you can buy a scope mount for this thing. It doesn't look like a standard Picatinny rail. It almost kind of looks like its own proprietary system. So I'm not too sure as to what you could even mount on it. And furthermore, I'm not sure that what you would mount on it would even hold zero or be accurate at all, considering, again, the nature of just kind of where it's located. So if you have one, or if you know anything about that, please leave a comment down below, because I kind of want to know more about that. Never mind the fact that this thing unironically looks like one of those alien blaster light-up toys that you would get from, fucking Dollar Tree. Now, as far as I know, the Calico met its end for the same reason the kind of civilian market of the F2000 died. Remember that from, 20 minutes ago? Now, remember when I said that it took only either 50 or 100 round magazines? Well, the gun was just being pushed out at a time where the National Assault Weapons ban had passed and was in full effect. And a larger part of that ban was it limited all firearms that could take detachable magazines to only 10 rounds. That sounds oddly familiar. I'm sure it won't get any worse. Man, fuck this state. Now, obviously, this doesn't bode well when the lowest capacity version your gun comes with is still 40 rounds over the now legal limit. So because of this, it didn't sell at all in the civilian market and just kind of died out. And from what I can find, despite it being originally made for law enforcement military use, there are no active military or police forces using this anywhere in the world. And I forgot to mention this earlier, it downward ejects. That's right. You know what else downward ejects? The P90. So that means that this thing still sucks. That doesn't change anything, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool to bring that up. Now, throughout this video, it might have seemed like I was shitting on a lot of these guns, which, like, something out of a fucking Bethesda game. This thing unironically looks like one of those alien blaster light-up toys. It's bulky, it's a bullpup. I definitely was, but as I said in the intro, I live for these kind of guns. And whether or not it's great or terrible, it's been adopted by a major military or hasn't, it's still nice to just learn and find out about the, you know, forgotten weapons. I don't know why, but saying the phrase forgotten weapons to me is like the gun culture equivalent of saying Among Us in a sentence. Like, I didn't mean it that way, but when I say it, that's all I can think about. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. I'm not sure.
Spread ego cross the block. Spread ego cross the block. Spread ego cross the block. I fuck the music. I make it curl. I fuck the music with my serpent curl.